Hello, I'm Felicity. I write about science and technology. I'm here with Rosemary. What do you do?
Hello, I am the CTO of CommonAI Compute.
Sounds exciting.
It's pretty exciting.
Very exciting. So we were going to talk about sovereign AI. So the sovereign AI unit has been launched by the government. What is that for? And what do we mean by sovereign AI as a concept?
So the Sovereign AI Unit is an organisation that has been set up to invest for the government to be able to invest in the AI industry within the UK. I would like to talk about sovereign AI much more broadly, actually.
Okay.
So sovereignty in general and how that relates to AI, what that means for AI.
Because it's quite an important idea, isn't it? Explain a bit further what we mean by sovereignty with AI.
So sovereignty generally we mean we're British. We mean, is it British?
So we want to keep AI in Britain.
Keep AI in Britain, but for AI, there's that's a very complicated question. So there's the data that you use to train the model. There's then the model itself. There's the tooling that you use to do that. And then there's also the compute where you do the compute, where you do the training, where you deploy that model as well. So there's there are lots of very complicated questions to ask about the sovereignty of an AI, whether you mean a model or a deployed model or data with which you
where the customers are, I suppose.
Yeah, and where the customers are. Exactly.
And at the moment, how much is in the UK and Europe in terms of everything that is that we refer to when we're talking about AI?
So the AI, the UK is very much a leader in AI. We've always been at the forefront of computational science, and so a lot of the innovations that are coming out of the machine learning industry and the AI industry are within the UK. But that's not to say that we have a very good handle on the rest of the supply chain. So that the data might come from anywhere. It might be trained within the UK on machines within the UK. But those machines might be owned by a foreign entity who has invested in the UK. So just because the machines are in the UK and the data is available to us in the UK, that doesn't necessarily mean that that we've got sovereignty over that entire supply chain or value chain.
And there's given that there's a lot of investment going into AI in the UK at the moment, I suppose the worry is that is going to be spent on this infrastructure and this compute that might not be in the UK. We might not benefit from it as much as we could.
Absolutely. So something to think about: if your data is being processed on a machine that is owned by a foreign organisation, do we necessarily have full control over that data and that compute or that asset? I do a lot of work with the Royal Academy of Engineering, where I'm a fellow, and we look at infrastructure, not just digital infrastructure, but infrastructure as a whole. And there's a lot of emphasis on understanding the entire value chain. So that means understanding your suppliers, but also understanding your route to market. So for example, one of the things we've always been very good at in the UK is developing novel hardware. And so the likes of Raspberry Pi or ARM have come out of the UK. A lot of the early innovations around semiconductors come out of the UK, and there are a lot of people in the UK working on novel architectures to accelerate AI computation beyond what we can do today with GPUs. But you've got to think about the supply chain for those devices. Where will they be manufactured? Semiconductor manufacturing, we're not big on that in the UK. And so that puts vulnerabilities on that technology when we don't have control over that supply chain. But we also don't have so much control over the value chain. Generally, when sell the device by itself, it's not really useful. You need to package it up in a compute platform. You need someone to deliver that compute platform, to host it, to power it, and so on. And so you need a series of system integrators in order to take that chip and deliver it to a customer in a way that is valuable. And then on top of that, you need service providers providing software stack and so on. So so there's a big difference between a very valuable technology and then success in the market. There are a lot of pieces that need to go together. And I suppose I said control. I think it's not really about control. It's not about making sure that everything is British. That's not what this is about. But it's about making sure that we don't have vulnerabilities, that there's diversity in that value chain, diversity in the supply chain, and making sure that new players that are coming along with novel business models, novel technologies, that they are able to enter a market and compete and disrupt a market. So that's certainly what I think about when I think about sovereignty. It's about making sure that we have diversity and making sure that no one organisation or country controls any particular technology or resource.
It's about choice, isn't it?
It's about choice, exactly.
It's about giving organisations the opportunity to choose from different providers to create the most secure supply chain, would you say?
Yeah, exactly. So at CommonAI Compute, we're building a cloud marketplace so that AI organizations can be instantly multi-cloud, so they can get their compute from the hyperscalers. They can switch between hyperscalers, but they can also get their compute from smaller cloud vendors and potentially from organizations offering some of those novel compute architectures that are just going to be emerging over the next few years. So obviously, with a background in semiconductor, I'm always excited when something really new and disruptive comes out. But in kind of aside from that excitement, just from a business point of view, we need diversity, and we need we can't have a monopoly at any place.
That would be dangerous
in the industry.
AI to accelerate, we need to have competition, I suppose.
Yeah, we need competition, and we need to make sure that the new technologies that are going to be better for the economy, better for the human race, we need to make sure that those have a route to market, and that means having a successful value chain, so supply chain and route to market at the same time.
So are you feeling hopeful that the UK can get this right, that we can continue to be such a forward-thinking part of the AI sector?
Oh yeah, tremendously. I think something that we've always done very well is innovation through collaboration. So making sure that we wrap up the innovators with all of the pieces they need to be successful. That's again what we're doing at CommonAI, and we're not alone. There are many people trying to solve the problem of infrastructure and delivery of AI, and building different pieces of the value chain, so that everyone has a choice about who they go to for their suppliers and their customer base.
Sounds good. Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you.